Welcome to Music Talk here from Dervilla Art and Design, and I'm joined by one of my favorite guests, Tania Miller. Tania, welcome home.
Thank you. It's always good
I
to
know
be
we're not
here.
officially home, but it's pretty close to the original home.
Oh, it's very, it feels like home to me.
Good, good. I mean, you did
Especially
go to...
since I keep coming back with the orchestra. It gets more and more close to my heart.
Good.
Honestly.
We like that. You're one of our favorite people to have up on stage and off stage, so we're always thrilled to... And you're back next season, too.
Thank you.
We're
Thanks for
excited
having me.
about that. Oh, yeah, we're really excited about that, so it's good. You were here in the fall. You
Yes, I
opened our
was.
season. You're closing our season.
I know.
I
How
like these
great is
bookends.
that?
Yeah.
I love it too. Really cool.
You've been busy though this year since we last saw you.
Yes.
Performing all over the place again. How many orchestra concerts do you end up doing in a typical year?
Maybe 25, something like that.
So like half the weekends of the year.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're all bunched up
Yeah.
together, and sometimes there's a bit of space, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's one after the other.
How do you keep all the repertoire rolling in your brain?
I love the fact that I have finally, and I think deservedly, come to a place in my career where I open a score and I know it.
Right.
And for instance, this weekend, to be able to do Dvorak's Symphony No. 9 and to be able to do Chopin's Piano Concerto and to just know it so deeply just makes me feel very happy because there's this relationship I have.
Yeah.
And like all great things, all of the arts, somehow, even though you put it away, it still continues to grow inside your mind. And so when you open it up again 5 years later, it's still there, but it's changed a little bit. So I think what I'm always amazed at, though, is that even though I'm telling you of the feeling of knowing some of the repertoire, there's always repertoire that I'm doing that's brand new. So, for instance, this year I'm doing Bizet's Carmen for the first time.
Ooh, wow.
I'm doing Strauss Don Juan for the first time. There's always something that's new.
Those are both big undertakings.
They are, but it's so great that
Yeah.
you have that balance of taking on some new stuff, but also having a relationship with music that's just kind of expanding.
Yeah, I love that. I love that description of it. This weekend we have those two pieces. We open with a piece of music that I was going to pronounce, but I'm not even going to try because I keep forgetting the order it goes in. But a Canadian work.
Yeah. So it's by a Quebec composer named Maxime Goulet, and it's called Citius Altius Fortius, which means higher, faster, stronger, I think.
Nice.
Or somehow mixed in there. So going back to the Olympics, actually, it was commissioned by the Vancouver Symphony back in 2008 in preparation for the Vancouver Olympics in 2010. And so it goes back kind of to that original sense of where the Olympics came from. And it's just a fun piece.
It is very fun.
I programmed it just because it has so much energy and so much celebration, and it gets us going.
Yeah, it really is it's a adrenaline booster.
Yeah.
When you first sent it to me, I went, oh yeah, that's how you start a concert in May.
Yeah, just boom.
Yeah.
Right off the
Here we
bat.
go. Yeah, I like that. Have you worked on other Maxim pieces? We've done a handful of his stuff, and we're looking at some other stuff in the future as well. He writes great stuff.
He does write great stuff.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new piece to do with some insect. No,
Yes.
it's all the insects, I
Yes.
think. And it's for education.
Yes, like the animals, like the Carnival of the Animals.
Carnival of the Animals, but for insects.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I've got that on my list to program
nice.
at some point.
Yeah. We were just emailing about it the other day. So
There you go.
future project here too. So that's
There you
good.
go.
That's good.
Preview.
Exactly right. We've got Jerry Hu coming home to perform this Chopin Piano Concerto. I don't think you two have worked together.
Never have.
But so Jerry grew up here in Saskatoon. He is in, I think, his third year at the Glenn Gould School.
Oh, fantastic.
He actually, just a few months ago, I saw Jerry do this precise concerto with the RCM Orchestra.
Great.
And so he had a trial run there at Kerner Hall and is now coming home to do it.
I opened their season as well this year.
There you go.
So I love the RCM, and I'm excited for him that he's there. So.
Yeah, he's done phenomenal work there. He just won a big award at the Canadian Chopin competition this spring, and he's such a great little pianist. I remember having Jerry come to a dress rehearsal years ago when we had a guest pianist in town, and he came to sit and watch when he was, probably 15, 16. He was young. And so like he's been kind of a part of our music community for so long. It's so much fun to bring people home for that moment, and particularly good because this is such a wonderful concerto for the piano.
I think it's surprising to me when I come back to the Chopin Piano Concerto Number 1, how moving it is,
Yeah.
How really touching it is. And I think we are all in a place in life right now where it doesn't take much to make us emotional. You know, we're wearing our hearts on our sleeves. We're thinking about the meaning of life and what's going on in the world around us. And the second movement of Chopin is just so incredibly introspective, and really speaks to the heart. But also even the very first movement, which is full of this sort of heroic, bombastic energy. Then there's the most tender melody nestled inside of it, which brings tears to my eyes whenever I listen to it. I know that when I'm on the stage conducting the Saskatoon Symphony, I know that there will be moments where I am brought to an emotional feeling, probably because Jerry will bring me to that. But it's really incredible music, and one that just never stops inspiring. And also just the realization that Chopin was 20 years old.
Yeah.
He had just written it. And in this very moment before, just months before, he had to leave his own Poland because Russia was coming and creating havoc. And then there was an uprising that lasted just 6 months later, I think, after he premiered this concerto. And as a result of that uprising, he never was able to go back to Poland.
No.
So it feels like history somehow reveals itself through music and keeps revisiting human issues. And here we are. It feels very much like it's part of the modern world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. Like, he also was one of those people who did use music, that nationalism sound in his music as a bit of revolutionary attitude, right? I mean, that Scherzo Number 1 with the Polish lullaby in the middle, where, premiered in Paris as a young pianist, but there would have been Polish aristocrats in the room who would have recognized precisely what they were listening to.
And it's that longing for your home and your inability to reach it, and your care about the people who are there, and your worry about them, and that brings out the music. You know, so I think that's why Chopin is so revered in Poland and understood to, just like Sibelius, it's that sense of how a composer finds a way to speak for the people, how they are feeling through the music. I
know that the concerto is not always the orchestral musician's favorite thing to play.
Yes.
Because Chopin was young. He was a teenager when he wrote these things.
Yeah.
And he really didn't have any experience with orchestras.
Right.
And then he never wrote another. I mean, there's the two of them, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's a handful of little other things, but he never went back to the medium. Is that tricky to conduct because it's not exactly, it's not as well written as some of the other piano concertos are?
It's funny because for me as a conductor, it's fun because it's super hard.
Right.
And I love that it's challenging because there's so many notes in Chopin, and they're very unequal. So there might be a group of 14 notes all flourishing, and you have to catch that 14th note. Or there might be some gesture that goes way up here and hovers and then comes sailing down, and you have to catch it exactly at the bottom. So for me as a conductor, I love it because there's this beautiful kind of harmonic support cushioning all of this beautiful piano writing. However, for the string players, they're just staying in a suspension, playing a note while they wait for me to enjoy myself coming down to that next thing. So I think for them it's a bit of a drag.
Yeah.
It still sounds good though most of the time. I mean, some of his introductions are a little bit, like orchestrationally, a little bit dull in terms of the brilliance of the color of the sound. But I love the fact that we know he was 20 years old and that this was his first projects, you know, pretty good for
pretty spectacular
projects. I mean, I really wish he had written more piano concertos, and it makes you wonder, why did he go to Paris and write all these piano pieces and never write for orchestra again?
So I've had the privilege of traveling the world a lot and listening to these two particular concertos a lot due to a friend. And I met with someone from the Chopin Institute once, and I asked them. I said, was there ever any? Did he ever write about? And very matter of fact, he was like, there was no money in concertos at the time.
Oh.
And I went, oh, that's how
Well,
business. And I mean, it makes sense.
But actually, it's not just business when you think about Chopin. He lived on everything he wrote and everything he composed.
Exactly.
And it was just about survival.
Yeah.
So much of this great art wasn't about someone having a pension and their parents giving them, room and board while they went off and did their art form. Many of these composers were, every piece they wrote was what they survived upon.
Yeah.
And here he was away from home. He had no intention of being in Paris.
Nope.
He didn't expect to actually land up in Paris, and he had to pay the bills. So probably you're right. Maybe it was just easier to write piano pieces and play them and keep it small.
Shorter, cheaper.
Yeah.
Got the work done. Didn't need to put. Yeah, it's very and didn't also have to. A lot of the concertos back then. If you were a composer, you also sort of had to have a horse in the race to get it performed or premiered.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't have had those resources.
It is still amazing though that the Parisians didn't say, we have Chopin in our midst.
Exactly.
Let's commission a concerto from him.
Yeah.
It is amazing that it didn't happen, but
yeah, it's a great work. It's also like you said, that second movement is so touching. The third is just so much fun.
Yeah.
And it has that kind of reckless Chopin romanticism about it. And so I think I do think it's such a great piece. It's wonderful to have you and Jerry working together.
I'm excited.
When you are doing these concertos, because you do have the piano side of it, more so than some of the other concertos that are out there, what's the communication like between you? Like, are you listening more? Are you watching closer?
I'm 100% immersed in Jerry.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There's these rather lovely opening orchestral parts. And then once he comes in, it's 100% accompaniment versus some other concertos where there's back and forth relationship between the orchestra and the piano. Yeah. In the Chopin, it's very, very much piano centered. I listen a lot. Yeah. I watch him too, because one thing that's amazing, a trick for conducting Chopin, is that the left hand will usually be just doing bum, jing, bum, while the right hand might be going. And so as a conductor, to keep your ear on the left hand and to watch the left hand when it goes down. Because one of the things that's really fun as a conductor is to line up the pizzicatos, which is when the strings pluck their notes. Especially in the Chopin, he likes to have the basses and the cellos, the low strings, going boom at the moment that the piano goes boom. So, and when you line them up brilliantly, it's just a great satisfying feeling, and it creates this great depth of everything coming down. So I watch for those little moments, because I'm a perfectionist and I really love it when they line up.
That's good. And he actually gives you the pianist gets a beautiful bass line.
Oh,
if you do listen, it's so wonderful to listen to the sparkle of the colorature of the right hand, but the bass line, there's some gorgeous chord changes that happen.
Oh, yeah.
That sort of some pianists overlook because you're so focused on trying to get all the right notes in, but
One thing that I just want to say about Chopin, which I think is so amazing, is music should kind of float in a few different layers. Like in its best essence, there's kind of something happening between the notes as much as there is the notes. So if you take a composer like Tchaikovsky, he actually was very frustrated with himself because his phrasing was almost too square, too perfect. Everything lined up within itself. Yep. If you think about jazz music, there's this sort of improvisation that takes place where, you kind of, you're meandering through different spaces, and in that case, harmonic space, but sometimes also rhythmic space. With Chopin, what I love is that there's a structural element that's being played by the left hand, and floating in its own realm over top
Yeah.
is a different time zone entirely. Like it's a little bit like Einstein, you know, space-time changing. There's not like everything in one place. It's like everything's floating in different existences. And I think that's what is really fascinating for pianists who play it again and again and again. They can always experiment with a different universe within the piece.
It can be new every single time.
Absolutely.
Which isn't true for all concertos.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the reasons why they are so special to the repertoire, but to the pianists who get to play them, because it can be so different night to night.
Yes.
I loved when you paired this piece with the Dvorak, because when I think about Chopin, I do think about that the Polish sound to his music, which wasn't, he never really sounded Parisian. Some of the other composers who moved there began to sound like their surroundings. He never did.
No.
But Dvorak also cannot be removed from the sound of Czechia. He's just so, they're just so planted in their roots.
Yes.
Even as he's trying to give us an idea of what Americas sound like, still it's like, well, this is he had his roots, yeah.
True.
Let's talk about the story behind the Symphony Number 9, because it is from the New World.
Yeah.
Dvorak made a trip to the United States and was changed forever.
Yes, he was invited in 1892 to go to New York and to be the head of a new founded conservatory of music. The National Conservatory of Music, I think is what it was called. And so he took a very long boat trip over from Czechoslovakia. He left his family there. He was in New York for 3 years before going back home. So it was a long time away from family. And when I conduct this piece, I feel like it's symbolic of a variety of different things. Like when you listen to the first movement, there is this storminess to it. There's some very, very tender, sad sounding music. And there's this real feeling of being at a stormy sea and being on a journey. Like I very much associate it. It feels to me like it could be symbolic, this music, of the actual journey itself, or of the idea of going somewhere new and scary, or new and unknown.
It's funny you say that. I have always thought of it as a boat journey. It sounds like they're on the seas.
Yes, it does have that feeling. Even the sound of the waves.
Yeah.
And
the rhythmic structure of it gives you this sense of Yeah.
No, I think that's actually true.
It must be. We're going to make it true today. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, and then I think, in essence, here's this person who knows nothing about America, who is trying to, in very short term, because this concerto was written the very next year. Yeah. So it wasn't like he had immersed himself in American culture for years before he came to his New World Symphony. So it's really more about his perspective, I feel, as a European, of entering a new world and trying to find what the essence of that new world was. And that comes with him listening to a student of his who was an African-American student. Please sing me some spirituals. Like, help me learn what is this American sound. He was looking also for the Indian American music, and he was inspired by the Longfellow poem, Song of Hiawatha. And so in some of his notes, he says that the second movement, the beautiful, poignant melody that is played by the English horn and only played, that's the only place where the English horn plays, that this was perhaps the beginning of an idea for an opera that would be based on the Song of Hiawatha. So whether he captured whatever this spiritual music is, or whatever this Indian music was from American Indian music that he was looking for, it was this search for what is that. Yeah. It was his own music. He wasn't taking anybody else's music. He wasn't quoting anything. Yeah. It's truly just him. But it gives us like gorgeous music, and I think real searching for what is the essence of America at that time.
And I mean, hilariously, that little tune has gone on to be used as the basis of I guess a modern spiritual going home, right? Like,
Yes.
and it's funny because you will talk to people who think that it's the original,
Yeah.
and his is but it's the opposite.
No, that's right. It's
He
a
wrote a tune.
Dvorak tune that somebody later put words to.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, how
Yeah.
that
I
happened?
mean, it is a perfect tune.
It is.
There's lots of beautiful music, but it is actually perfect, that melody, and so of course it's going to be used, and not just in spiritual format. Jazz, pop music's used it. It's just so identifiable.
Yeah.
So it just makes it amazing.
It's amazing if you think about it as a melody alone. There's nothing to it.
No.
Da 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 da. It's like a lullaby. It's the most simple
and incredibly
form.
simple.
It's the specific harmony along with that makes it this incredible, beautiful, expressive melody. But it's not. It's the combination of the melody and the harmony, I think.
Yeah.
And then, what's really cool is the third and fourth movements give us, I think in the third movement, he's also inspired by the Song of Hiawatha. In the fourth movement, it kind of relates back to the journey itself, back to the first movement. It starts off very dark and then gets very heroic. I think he feels like he's found a heroic essence of the New World.
Yep.
But also, I always think of this symphony as being almost like an autobiography of Dvorak himself. I can't help but feel his loneliness for his family.
Yep.
I can't help but feel him feeling lost in a new world, and that it is his own relationship going to the New World, being in the New World, and identifying what this new world is that is wrapped into the music that came out of him for this symphony.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't. So when you were approaching, how many times have you conducted it? Do you know how many times you conducted it?
Maybe 10 times.
So when you come to it, as you said earlier, you grow into these music. You know it, and now you know it to a level where it's where you are the person. You're the person in the room who has the best experience with it because you're the one leading it, and you have that knowledge to use about it. Do you find new things in it still?
Yes, because as I was talking about before, I feel right now in this moment a certain way about the world, about my life, who I am. What is the world? What is the new world? What is America? What is it to visit another strange foreign place? But those are almost separate things. It's really more about how the emotion and the expression of music just never stops having infinite combinations of possibility, and how one soft, hushed moment can change the next step and that next change can then create a different direction for the emotion. And you're always opening doors. It's like those novels where you get to choose whether it's door A or door B, and your story changes just by each change that you choose to make. Just last month, I was in Carnegie Hall watching Riccardo Muti conduct Vienna Philharmonic with Dvorak Symphony No. 9. And I was reflecting on the fact that I was there watching 3 different concerts. It was a wonderful weekend, and I loved the stuff like Dvorak's symphony the most because I saw the minute detail of what he brought out of something that he probably has conducted 40, 50, 60 times. And, working with someone like Yo-Yo Ma, for instance, also Dvorak's cello concerto, who I know has probably played the piece 5,000 times.
Literally.
Always is present and finding in each moment and in each relationship between him and the orchestra, between him and the audience. It's always something so special that music brings to us to be present and to just feel that space between beautiful things. And so I know that the Saskatoon Symphony will inspire a certain direction. I
Right.
know that they will be the ones that speak to me about how we're going to express this music. I know that our English horn will have a very specific way of playing. I know all of our flute solos will have a way. I know our brass will have a certain way. I know the strings will do something. So we will work together and create something that is a brand new piece of art right in the moment on Saturday night.
Yeah. All 9 tuba notes. I think 9, 13. It's not very many tuba notes in the
Yeah.
whole. I was joking with Brent Longstaff, our principal tuba player. Our last show was symphonic sci-fi, so John Williams, and where he plays constantly because John Williams is just brutal to tuba players. And I said to him, "Don't worry, you make up for it in the next show where 9 notes or 11 notes."
That's
He's like,
right.
"Yeah, that's great. It's perfect." So,
Yeah, it is kind of funny that the tuba only plays at the beginning of the second movement and the end of the second movement.
and then he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have you coming back next year
Thank you.
here for years to come.
Thank you.
Enjoy
thank
your
you.
week with the orchestra.
I always do, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Of course.